Okay, so the process of sampling is used in reality quite extensively in industry. It's too expensive for us to analyse a total population. Apart from the census, which I think the government do every 4 years, it's not practical and it's not cost effective. So instead we take random samples and then analyse for the attribute that we're interested in. Okay, so really this chapter is about the math processes that we've done in the past are exactly the same, except our terminology changes. Okay, so let's look at the terminology itself. So if we've got a population here, okay, so my population doesn't sign, and the parameter P is the population proportion. So it's almost the probability of success. So if you have a look in this sample, I think there's 30 little people, and 5 of those 30 have the characteristic or the trait that we're sort of trying to analyze. So P is my population parameter, my population proportion, okay? N is the population size, capital N, all right? If I take a random sample of size N, so in this case, 6, we can see that my sample proportion P hat, in this case, would be 1 out of 6. Okay, so P hat refers to my sample the whole time. Lowercase n is the sample size. All right, so my population proportion P is just the number of people in the population with that attribute over the total population. My proportion, in fact, that should be sample proportion there. We need to fix that, sir. So that should be a sample proportion. My sample proportion P hat is a number of people in the sample, okay, with that particular statistic. And that should say sample size. We're going to fix those up, all right, and we call that P hat, all right. So the population proportion is a population parameter and it's constant, it doesn't change. However, my sample proportion P hat, well, that's going to vary depending upon the sample that I take. So remembering that the sample that you take must be completely random. You can't just grab from one area, or you can't just grab your mates or just one sex. It's just got to be a completely random, I guess, set of selections. All right. So if we have a bit of a look at our first example here, just to identify the values. So I've got a school where 35% of the students travel on the school bus. Okay, I take a group of 100 students we select at random, and 42 of them travel on the school bus. All right, so the population in this case is obviously our whole school. All the students in the school is the population I'm choosing from. The population proportion P is the 35% of students in the whole school, okay, that travel by bus. My sample proportion P hat is the number of students in my sample that travel by bus, which in this case was 42 out of 100, which is 0.42. All right, so you can see straight away, hopefully, that sample proportion is going to vary across the different random samples that we take. All right.